All right, what is going on, everybody? It's Simple Sports back again, finally, after a little bit of a break. So short video today. Just want to give you just an update on things, and then I just want to touch on a couple of topics really briefly. But so if anyone's been wondering where I've been, all like 4 people out there that follow me, I have been with my family. My grandmother's not doing so well, so I've been spending the last 2 or 3 weeks going back and forth home, and then on top of the holiday stuff and work, it's just been too much. So I decided to put all this on the back burner for a little while, and that also gave me a chance to sort of evaluate where I was and sort of hit the reset button on a few things and change a few things. So I do have some changes coming to the overall, the overall thing, but we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. But for now, like I said, I just wanted to let you know I've been gone dealing with some family things, but I am back now. So I do want to touch on a few topics really quickly. Not going to spend too much time on anything today. Just want to kind of get back into the groove of things. But I did just want to let you know sort of where I've been and what's been going on. So without further ado, let's get started. So first thing I want to talk about is NFL. And like I said, I'm not going to spend a ton of time on these topics, but let's talk about my Tennessee Titans and how much of a disappointment they are, how overrated they were going into the year. And I admit I'd be the first one, although I will say, in all honesty, I didn't truly believe in them, but I definitely was let down this year. I haven't believed in them for the last 10 years. They've just never been that good. And while I like to believe that they're better than they are, they really aren't. And this year they proved that, although this was the actual first time in a really long time that I thought they would actually be really good. Turns out they weren't. All the other years where I kind of was joking around, they actually, like last year, I didn't think they would finish 9-7. Last year was a surprise, and I thought they'd taken a big step forward. And then this year, they're going to, I hope, finish 9-7 because that means they'd be in the playoffs. If they finish 8-8, they're out. So their scenario is they need to, if they win their last game against the Jags, they're in. And I believe that game is in Tennessee, which is so crazy to me. Think about their projection. They were at one point 7-3. Right before they faced the Steelers, when they could have gone to 8-3 and the 2 seed in the AFC. And they went from 7-3 to 8-3, or 7-4 after losing to the Steelers. And then they won a game, and now they are 8-7. A game above 500 after literally a couple of weeks ago being, a game away from being the 2 seed behind the Pats, and actually they'd be tied with the Pats. And like it's so crazy how one little incident can sort of spark or derail a team or a player. And they've been terrible on the road, 3-5, 5-2 at home. They've lost 3 straight, which is not good going into the playoffs, considering, I mean, you think about the Eagles have won 3 straight. Who else has won a couple of games? The Rams have won 2 straight. The Seahawks won their last game, potentially going to win the next game for 2 straight going into the playoffs. Same thing with the Vikings, 2 straight. Saints have won 2 straight. Panthers have won 2 straight. The Pats, they're different altogether, but they've won 2 straight. The Chiefs have won 3 straight after they faltered for a while. The Steelers have won 1 in a row, with the chance to win next week, obviously. Same thing with the Ravens, have won 2 in a row. Everyone's on a winning streak heading to the playoffs except for them and the Jags, and the Jags are in already, so it's not like they necessarily need the game next week. I think for seeding purposes they do, but they're already in the playoffs, so I don't know how that's going to pan out. I don't think they can go any higher than the 3 seed, which is where they are. Well, no, I guess they can't because the Pats and the Steelers are both 12-3, so no, they can't go any higher, but I don't think they can go any lower either. So I don't know if they're going to play anyone, things of that nature, arrest anyone. I don't know for sure. But the Titans win, they're in. If they lose, they can still make it, believe it or not, at 8-8. They would need, I believe, the Bills and the Dolphins to lose, if I'm not mistaken. I think the Bills and Dolphins, or maybe the Bills and Ravens. I don't remember who it was. I know the Bills was one of the teams. And they can even get in with a tie. But simply put, if they win, they're in, which I hope they do. They'd finish 9-7. So I'd be 2 games off my original prediction, 1 game off my sort of adjusted prediction, and, I think they're going to finish 9-7. They beat the Jags before, albeit the Jags weren't as hot as they are now, but they still did beat them. So at least there is some confidence there. And I hope they do win, because the Jags are hailed as this really good team now with this really good defense, which I'm not saying that they aren't, but that would be a nice confident win. And it's not like they played bad in the last game, but this would be a nice confidence booster going into the playoffs. And then they would get the let's see, who would they get in the playoffs? I don't know who they would play. They'd be the 5 seed. So they would probably get the Chiefs. Let's see. I'm pretty sure they get the Chiefs. If the Chiefs, hold up there in the bargain, which I'm assuming they will. I'm trying to find a playoff bracket, but I can't. Oh, my computer's being a little over. But anyway, so I don't know. I don't believe in them. I don't. Even if they get into the playoffs, they might win a game just based on the matchup. They've beaten the Chiefs before. They could actually, I guess, depending on their seeding, they could get matched up with the Jags, the Chiefs, or let's see who else. Maybe the Ravens, if they get in. Well, I guess, no, they're fighting for the last playoff spot. The Chargers, I don't know who's going to take those last couple of spots. But I think as of right now, if they were to get in, they'd be playing the Chiefs. The Chiefs, they beat last year. The Chiefs aren't that great, but they're rolling right now, and the Titans aren't. So that could be a huge factor. I don't really know what to think about this team. They've definitely been a disappointment this year. Definitely not what they should have been. Mariota has not played well. The team in general has not played well, and they're so inconsistent. And it's crazy because they go out and they should have beaten the Rams last week, but the week before they lost to the 49ers, who've won 3 games, make it 4 now all year. I don't get it. And then they play toe-to-toe with the Rams, albeit the Rams, either team, I guess, could have run away with that game, but towards the end, they were still in it with a chance to win the game, and they didn't. And so it was disappointing, especially that they lost at home. It's not a good thing, and it's not a good sign going into the playoffs. So, I don't know. I'm not excited about it. I do hope they make it, because I'd like for them to just be in the playoffs. That would be nice to see for a change. But outside of them making it to the playoffs, I don't see them doing anything with it. I don't see them causing any damage or anything like that. So, it is what it is. I'm not too pumped about it. They've been a disappointment all year. I hope next year that something changes, because I think a lot of fans want to see Malarkey go. Definitely a lot of fans want to see Trubisky go, the offensive coordinator. I'm not one to say if a coach should or shouldn't be fired, because they know more than I do. But I will say it doesn't look good. The offense looks meh at times. And there's sometimes when they go right down the field, boom, 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 touchdown. And, 8, 10, 12 play drives, nice chunk plays, 8, 10 yards here, 18 yards there. And then there's other times where they go 3 and out, like 4 drives in a row. Mariota makes a bunch of bad throws, or there's a fumble, or there's a stupid holding penalty or something. And the team just doesn't live up. And defensively, they've played okay. They've played better than I actually thought the defense would be the problem this year. I didn't think the offense would. I thought defensively they would struggle a lot, and they have struggled in moments, but I think overall they've played they've definitely been above average. I think they've been a solid defense, and then the offense hasn't shown up. So, very inconsistent team. I'm not expecting much out of them into the playoffs if they even make it. I hope they do make it, just purely as a fan, but outside of that, I don't, being objective, I don't think, even if they do make it, I don't think they're going to make any noise. With the exception of maybe, depending on who their draw is in the first round, they might get a win. I think they can beat the Chargers or the Chiefs, someone like that. Maybe even the Bills if they I don't know if they could make it, if they could both make it. I don't know all of the playoff seedings right now. But again, depending on who they draw, I think they could win their first matchup, but that's about it. So, disappointing season as a Titans fan. I don't know what to do with them. Just when I thought, and a lot of people thought they were actually on the way up to at least be competitive. I mean, right? They're the most non-competitive 8-7 team, potentially 9-7 team, depending on how next week shakes out. I mean, if you were to see them last week or the week before and not know their record, I would have guessed they were 4-12. That's how bad they have looked in moments this year. So I don't expect much from them. Now let's see, what else did I want? I did want to talk about the NBA a little bit. I'm not going to go too in depth with it. We just sort of quote unquote kicked off the NFL season with the Christmas Day games. Obviously, the main one was the Warriors Cavs, albeit a couple of stars were out. Steph Curry, no Isaiah Thomas. So it wasn't, there wasn't a whole, there wouldn't be a lot to take from it really anyway, just because it's so early in its regular season. Except for the fact that it's probably the first time that these teams really get a real challenge and really get up for the game. But other than that, it really didn't mean that much. But I will say I was, scrolling through some articles and stuff like that today and reading about LeBron James and Kevin Durant and this whole debate about Kevin Durant being the best player in the league today, LeBron being second. And it's just, I watch First Things First in the morning. That's what I use to sort of wake up. I watch that. And I watch Nick Wright, and the guy is just, he's so non-objective about LeBron James. I don't understand it. He's not the only one, but he's the one that you see on TV the most. And it's like, it's okay that someone could be considered better. And you know what it reminded me of? It reminds me a lot of Kobe's last years. Not necessarily the years he was injured, but even like back to like say 08, 09, 2010, even back to then when he was still winning championships and still giving people the business. And there were people that were Kobe fans who, if you went and talked to a LeBron fan, you couldn't convince one or the other that LeBron or Kobe was the better player. And even though at the time LeBron wasn't winning championships, he was considered at that time, I won't say it, obviously not a bust, but he was considered sort of a choke artist, if you want to call it that, because he hadn't won a championship yet. And in 2011, he fell short again with the Mavericks, and Kobe and the Lakers were still at least looked at as contenders. And so a lot of people at that time were saying, man, Kobe's clearly the best player. But everyone, especially a lot of LeBron fans were saying, LeBron's the better player. He's the better talent. He's the better this. He's the better that. And other people would say, well, yeah, but Kobe's got, Kobe won an MVP. Kobe won championships. Kobe, he dropped 40 points. And Kobe. And now we're starting to see the same thing with Kevin Durant and LeBron James, where LeBron James is sort of the Kobe and KD is the LeBron of, say, 10 years ago, where, sure, LeBron may be slowing down. LeBron may not win the title this year, and he lost it last year. KD won it last year. But most people still think LeBron is the better player. I happen to think right now KD is the better player for this year. I thought he was the better player last year. I think last year in the finals is when, as they say, the quote-unquote torch was passed to me. In the finals last year. And to have all of that set aside, though, because really I was just rambling. The point being, I don't understand why people are so upset that someone would like to think that KD is a better player than LeBron James. It's as if it's criminal to think that. And it's not like, it'd be one thing for you to come to me and say, I think, I don't know, pick someone. Carmelo Anthony is the best player in the league. All right, hey, everyone is a fan. Everyone's entitled to their opinion as a fan, well, in general, but, it is what it is. But that's one of those where you're like, okay, well, he's not better than LeBron James, so you're totally being biased. This is a situation with KD where it's not like there's some huge gap between the two. Even if you were to be completely objective about both, it's not like the gap between LeBron and KD is so massive that it makes no sense. Even if you were to concede that LeBron is the better player, it ain't like he's miles above KD. Okay, KD just hasn't won as many championships and obviously hasn't played as many years. And I don't think he will finish his career with the same statistical measurements as LeBron James does. But my eye tells me right now that KD is the better player. And it's that simple. And the part about it that really bothers me is this notion, like, again, listen to Nick Wright. He was talking to Doug Gottlieb today. He was filling in for Cowherd. And, you know, to Nick, it's like, oh, well, LeBron has more points and he has more rebounds and he has more assists and he has more blah and blah, 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 blah. And that's great. I love all the counting numbers. But Doug Gottlieb, and I think he did a great job calling him out on this publicly, to say it's not just about the total numbers. Like, you can't just look at the total numbers. And then Doug Gottlieb went into breaking down like fourth quarter stats and how he fared against KD in the finals, in the fourth quarter or the second half, and things like that. And Skip Bayless has always called him a stat stuffer. I wouldn't go that far. I'm not going to say he's a stat stuffer, but you can't look at the totals